to Ephemera Files by Tommy, and I am going to be doing an almost finished flip through of this journal that I am making with the challenge that was issued with Tanya McGuire and Lisa of my Eclectic Life. Say it right, Tommy. And it is the 12 Journal Bits Challenge FaLaLa. And in it, we had 12 different things that we could use, and in certain amounts and certain types. And I thought that this would be an easy challenge because I had what I could use right there, already chosen. I didn't have to mess with anything. Turns out it's harder than I thought to just use what's on the list. So this is an almost finished flip through because I don't have a way to finish my fastener here because I didn't account for that. I did account for the hardware. That was it. I don't have any journaling cards in here, with the exception of a couple of small, tiny ones, because I didn't give myself any cardstock or file folder or index cards or anything like that. So those are a few of the reasons. Plus, I also didn't give myself any cardstock, so a lot of my papers are a little, let's say, floppy, for lack of a better word. So some of them I was able to double up and so strengthen the page a little bit so it was easier to turn. Some of them I'm going to go back after this flip through and do my finished journal that won't quite be within the parameters of the challenge. But I do want to finish the journal. I don't like leaving a job half done. So let's get into this. You're going to see a lot of white pages, which I really don't like, but I'm kind of stuck with what to do with them because I have all kinds of ideas, none of which I can complete right now. So let's go. You'll see a lot of threads. I left the threads. I'm probably going to trim some of these longer ones because they may not bother other people, but they kind of bother me. And since I have to have this until someone buys it, I'm going to trim a little bit. I will still leave a lot of them there because I do like the look of the hanging threads. On the front, I have this lace that is holding closed these shutters on this little door. And what I want to put inside of it was not on my list of items I can use. So it's empty right now. And I also want to use some flowers and other little goodies and stuff to decorate around the sides of it, because this journal is all about home. It's all about fond memories, places, people, things that make a home, that make a house a home. And so the finish, the cover is not finished yet. It will be, but this is the start. It is a fabric cover over chipboard that I have sewn together. It is actually a sleeve, so it is all sewn. It is not glued at all. So there is some movement here. And then I have wrapped lace around the bottom edge of it. It is a hidden binding, so you do not see any of the strings or anything from the outside or inside. There are no dangles. It's all hidden in this binding right here. Some of the things that we were allowed to use was 4 stamps or stencils. And I chose these 2 stencils because I thought they would give me a lot of variety, and they did. They did. And then I chose, whoops, that's sticking, these 2 stamps. This is a stamp that's supposed to be a bandana, but I thought it looked kind of like a Persian rug or Oriental rug or whatever that you might have had. It just looks like a rug to me. So I chose that, plus the pattern allowed for a lot of different uses. And I chose this stamp. I don't know, can you see that? It's a cityscape, and I got this stamp from Sandy Allnock. And I really, really like it. It's so much fun. Little clothesline with laundry hanging out on it. Plants in the windowsills. It's just so cute. I really like it. And so I used as much of everything as I could. Black and white colors were free. We were allowed 6 colors other than that, and the 6 that I chose, let's see, I counted that as black, that was white. So my 6 colors that I chose were Vintage Photo, which is a brown, Faded Jeans, which is a darker blue, this blue right here, Rusty Hinge, which is this orangey color here, and Dried Marigold, which is this lighter color orange here, Broken China, and this gold, because all of them pick up on the colors that are in the cover that I chose. So those were my 6 colors. Black and white were free, so I could use as much of them in any form as I wanted. So I used some Dilutions ink spray also, and that was an experiment because I haven't used it very much. I did a lot of stitching in this journal because my sewing machine was one of the tools that I chose to use. Let's see, the next thing. Oh, and I had floppy pages, like I said, so some of them I've reinforced with other pages. This is just paper that I have folded. It was a full sheet, and I just accordion folded it until it fit right here. This is the selvage from this fabric, and I just really thought that that was kind of neat. We were allowed different linens, fiber is what it was called. And so my fiber for my cover was 1. This lace was this big table runner, and I've used lots of bits and pieces of it in different places. Excuse me. We were to have 11 quotes or words, and so I added this quote by Samuel Johnson. I'm not going to read it. I will do all that when I go through the final flip through. I did a tutorial on stretching paper, and that created a pocket right here. I have nothing in that pocket yet. I was allowed, let's see, 5 kinds of paper. So I had drawing paper, which is this, copy paper, which is this one, music paper, music manuscript paper, which is that one. Let's see, and children's writing paper. I think that that was the 5. No, I'm missing 1. I'll come to it later. I'm sure when I'm turning the pages, I'll find it. So in order to stretch the papers, some of them I sewed, some I glued, some I folded and created multiple pockets in folding them. Let's see, where have I put, we'll grab this. So this has a pocket here, a little corner pocket, and then this pocket here, and then a full pocket back here. And when I turn the page, I've got another pocket here. This is another one of my 11 words. It's a die cut, and I backed it onto the ledger paper. That's my other paper, ledger paper. And there's a little tiny pocket here that it fit in. That's another piece of one of my fibers. And it was, let's see, a scarf that I had made that I just cut up because I never wore it anymore. That was another piece of my fiber. Let's see, we had 12 fun images, and all of my images were on the same sheet. It was a piece of tissue paper that had all of these pieces of furniture on it, and I really liked that idea. We needed to have 7 book pages, and so this is one of my book pages, and I simply folded it up, stitch around it to make a pocket here, and it's about homes. About planning a home, building a home, buying a home, renting a home. Here is more of that fabric from the scarf with the lace edging around it. Here's another one of my book pages. This is from a shorthand book. I just love the way that it looks. I can't read it. I don't know what it says. I think that it's from Daniel Webster. So there is that, and I'm sure it's appropriate. And then I cannot finish this pocket because of constraints of my list. So I will finish that. This is another paper I stretched with some of the music manuscript. It's a little piece of a stamped corner that I tore off of another page and put on there. This piece of paper was stretched with fabric sewn on right here. Got a lot of white pages. I will be addressing that. Here is a pocket that I made by extending, let's see, by wrapping it around, wrapping the ledger paper around this sheet of paper. And I made this little journaling notebook, and it's a flip out, flip out, flip out, flip out, flip out. And so you have all of these places to write. There are 3 sheets of places to write. And I used that stencil to help create some lines to guide you as you're writing in case you want your sentences to be straight, not running up and down. If you don't mind, then you don't have to worry about it. And I sewed that across the top. Here's ledger paper with another pocket. Here, I think, is the only piece of hardware fastener of the 9 that were allowed, other than my little doorknob on the front. It's a little tiny paper clip because it holds this flap up so that you've got extra writing places there. And then you have, sorry, I scooted that down, 2 pockets here. Here we go, it's easier with this than my finger. Pocket there and a pocket there. This page was extended with a piece of that fabric that I cut up that was the table runner. Let's see, and then the other extended papers that I already showed you. Again, I have another plan for this pocket, but I cannot do it with my allowed items. The other side of the book page with another pocket. I thought this was funny. It's got bathtubs and toilets and sinks right there. Let's see, the children's writing tablet, which I plan to add to. Here's the other side of that paper that had the multiple pockets. This has 1 angled pocket here and 1 angled pocket there. I like the rough edges of the music manuscript, and so I left it. Little shallow pocket right there. For this background, you'll see in this and other places, I didn't have a stamp other than the 2 that I've already showed you. And so I made my own by wadding up some paper, because I was allowed paper, dipping it into the ink pads, and then stamping all around. And it made a nice little background stamp. Necessity is the mother of invention, they say. Here is that stamp, and it's very, very light. You can see it again later and it'll be a little bit darker. This is just very subtle. The house stamp that I got from Sandy. Here's the beginning of the second signature. I treated the first page of all the signatures the same, using the stencils and the inks, and then a little bit of gold Sharpie, because gold was one of my colors, and so I could use that. On the back here, I have another table from the image sheet and a little leftover piece of music paper from one of my book pages and some manuscript here. Another pocket. You have 3 pockets on this page. And then a little flip. I think that's called a Rita Donnelly flip, because I will be putting something on the back side of that. For this, again, I was limited. Where you see these blue pieces, I took a piece of, oh, it was this piece, a piece of book page that I was using as my glue page, and used that to create that deckled edge stamp look. I don't know if that was actually allowed or not, so that may have been contraband, along with a few other things that I did. We'll just have to see how much of it counts against me. I have a plan for this too. This is a long pocket that ends inside of this little lace pouch. Another pocket here. Another little shallow pocket here, and then a deeper pocket here. Well, it's not really that much deeper. It's that deep, but it's deeper than that one. I thought this was cute. This was leftover table legs from the top of that piece of paper. Piece of tissue paper that had all the furniture printed on it. I thought that was fun. Let's see, I don't think that's a pocket. Nope, not a pocket. I will make sure that that's obvious when I finish the page. Here's part of that book page again with this formal traditional room. And I think this book was from the 60s. I'm pretty sure it was. This was some reverse stamping from one of the stencils. I simply spritzed the stencil after I got done with applying the ink through it in the traditional way. And then I flipped it over and get a reverse image. This one is a second generation of the reverse image. There's another one in here that's much clearer. Here's another pocket. That one's pretty deep. Here are more of my book pages. And I love this little grandfather's clock activity that was in the book. I didn't use all of my images, and I ordered a nightlight. It sounds funny, but this card was in there. And I'm like, those colors are perfect. I'm short an image. I'm using it. So there's one of my images. Another pocket. There's gold paint back there. Here is that stencil that I used in the very center. And another pocket, along with that deckled edge from the torn book page. The opposite pages of the grandfather clock pages on over just a little bit earlier, I sewed together. Let's see, first I added lace and then I sewed it together, and I am going to make a big tag out of this piece of ledger paper when I can back it on some cardstock. So there's that pocket. Whoops, I'm going to put that back in there so I don't forget. You can see it's kind of floppy, so it's kind of hard to get in there. So it needs a little strength and a little help. Needs a little help, just like me. Here we go is another image from that paper. I kind of tore that corner, so I think I'm going to find a vase or something so it looks like it was on purpose. Here's another pocket. Here's that bandana stamp. Doesn't that look like a rug? I think it does. Here is the original reverse image after I did the stenciling and then spritzed it with water. And I like that a lot. More of the book page with more of that contemporary room, it says. Here are 3 chairs from that image sheet, a little chair and a chair. Shallower pocket, and then a deeper pocket right there. This is a pocket. I don't know if can I show you without my arm being in the way? This is a long pocket. Goes all the way down. And then there are 2 pockets here. This was more of the spritz. I did a paper ruffle here. This is the dilution spritz. And then, I don't know if you can see it, but I went over a stencil with the gold ink as well. And it just gives it a subtle shimmer. I'm not done with this page, but I have to use stuff that wasn't listed. I did some, let's see, is it Franken pages for this last one to kind of give it a little more strength. I just took pieces and offcuts of all of my other pages and put that on there and then sewed it together. And here is our third signature. Again, it was treated the same way as the other pages for continuity. I backed that with some ledger paper, so it's got a little bit of stiffness, which I prefer. More of the manuscript paper. A little pocket right here with some of the lace that was another one of my fibers, and some stenciling there. Here is another pocket, and I didn't give myself a circle punch, so I don't have a thumb notch in there. But that's placed down low so that I can put a taller tag in there if I'd like. You can see that stencil a little bit better on this page. See the little apartments? You can't see the laundry because I only use the top part of the stencil. Here's more of that shorthand book with a pocket and stenciling. Excuse me. Little shallow pocket here. I've reinforced the end of this page so that it was a little bit stronger. And here is, I stamped that apartment stamp again, and then I went over with my homemade texture stamp. Let's see, first I stamped with the rug or bandana stamp. Then I stamped in this color the, what was it called? Broken China. The Broken China color. And then I went over it with the texture stamp, and I like the way that looks. Here is another fabric page, and then this was another one of my book pages. It was from a memory keeping book. Here we have another pocket, and another pocket, and another pocket, and another pocket. More of that page from the memory keeping. I put a little piece of another fiber that I was allowed, this lace. And then we have another pocket. We have a lot of pockets in here. I did get to make a lot of storage space with what I was allowed. This is a long, wide pocket. I have a plan for it as well. I think I need to straighten that edge a little bit, though. That bothers me that it curves up. Here is the bandana stamp again. And another little shallow pocket. Another piece of the shorthand, and that made a pocket. And here is where I really, really experimented with my homemade stamps. My texture stamps. Now I think that turned out really well. And again, I don't have a thumb notch here, but there's a pocket. Can we get in there? There's a pocket right there. Another one of my quotes. I will be doing something on the back of that ledger paper, so I wasn't worried about the bleed through. A little bit, this is another of the fibers I was allowed to use, with another little pocket right here. Another piece from the book page that I cut apart. Here's one of the images I was allowed to use. I actually made two of them and then realized that this one used contraband. Sneak peek. But this one I didn't. I simply used the music manuscript on the back and put it in there. Another little piece of lace. My last quote right there on that manuscript. This was the big central image on that tissue paper that I used for my 12 images. And then there's the back. I reinforced that back page with that fabric that matches the fabric that I used to hide the binding. And that is my not quite finished flip through, or my flip through of my not quite finished, there we go, 12 Journal Bits Challenge FaLaLa. Join me soon for the completed book and see if you can find the differences. And until then, remember to be kind. Always. Bye.